Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Green Generation. I am Shruti Seetharaman, an entrepreneur, a content creator, and a sustainability advocate. And today we're joined by Mrs. Shilpi and her little one, who is very quietly sitting here and enjoying us, whose inspiring voices is to reimagine creativity in the age of sustainability, from digital design to brand storytelling and tech. So, what I'm going to dive into is, what does sustainable design mean to you in today's digital world?
Well, thank you so much, Shruti, first of all, for having me on this podcast. And since this is my first ever, so I'm very excited. And this subject is really dear to me as well. So for me, designing means, something that just not lasts visually, but also in a way that it makes the people feel and, have a little larger impact on the people with a more intent and not just, jumping onto trends to make it feel more relatable or make it feel fresh. So the idea is always, doing things in a way and, the storytelling, like you said, in a way that it makes people feel connected. So yeah, that's what I think designing.
No, absolutely. And I think, designs also do tell a lot about your story, your journey, your style, your art. So of course, storytelling is can be beautifully put into art. And it's great that that's what you do focus on. But how do you think digital creatives can become more mindful in their work?
I think that's a very interesting question. I feel like just pausing before kind of jumping into the creating mode and asking, do we really need to have this much of content? Do we really need to shoot this much? Can we reuse the older visuals to make it feel fresh, for the fresher campaigns? I think that's where we can start. In my area of work, I generally have to source and kind of buy a lot of stuff and a lot of pieces. So what I do is I most of the times try and use and reuse and restyle my pieces in a way for my campaigns to give it a fresher look. And I often sit with clients who are who want everything larger than life. They want bolder visuals, they want bigger campaigns and stuff. But the one question that I always ask them is what is the core message behind this? And if we can get that right, I think we can get a lot of things straight right in the process. Yeah.
And you did talk about trends and shifts, but of course, I'm sure you have clients that want to work with the trends and shifts. So what do you think has shifted in the idea of beauty, beauty and design? How has it changed, considering sustainability is now an important aspect to consider?
For sure. I think beauty now feels much more quieter and calmer. It's not about adding 10 layers of effects onto it, but it's just about being how calm and, minimal your designs are. I think that kind of just connects well there. And I think in today's time for sure.
Okay. And are brands now more open to using, like you said, simple, minimal designs over flashy visuals?
Yes, I think more than ever, brands now are pretty much, they just want not to be seen like that. They want to be trusted. So I think using flashy images, like you said, will kind of hold an attention for some time. But I think in longer run, it's more about how, like I said, how calm and clean your designs are. Yeah. So I think definitely it's adding a bit value there.
So can you give us an example where a creative campaign became more sustainable and it worked?
I think I actually, try and choose my projects, purposely where, I get to choose my work around sustainability and, where my team also understands that this is the idea we're looking for. So yes, I of course do a lot of projects based on, how the brand kind of are seeing sustainability in their, criteria. Where does it land? Where does, it holds the importance? So I've done a lot of campaigns where, I've used older visuals to kind of, give it a fresh look. And honestly, what I've realized is it's not about how often do you shoot it or when was it shot. I think it's more about how the people will connect with your kind of message and storytelling.
No, absolutely. Okay, and do you think storytelling, like you mentioned, can actually truly change people's behavior around sustainability?
I think 100%. Storytelling, if a story feels real, I think that's when people connect there. And I think I come from a styling plus a creative direction background. So for me, I think visual life is, the storytelling is the basic what do I say, like the foundation of everything. So I think if it feels people connect with it, I think people are kind of...
No, absolutely. I think storytelling, not just in art, but in the creative space, as a content creator, they're saying that, storytelling is the best way to showcase any of your content. So tell a story that might not be related to a product, but while you're telling a story, when you're showcasing something, you're more likely to engage the audience, is what they say about content creation. That's what they say now. The algorithm is picking up what people like to watch. So I think in general, the shift is happening towards people wanting to hear stories, people wanting to know more, learn more.
And that's when they connect, I think.
And that's how they connect, because your personal story, I hope everyone has a personal story, and I'm sure everyone has one that inspires somebody or gets people curious to learn or stop and listen. So definitely, I think there's a large number of tools, like I said, AI and tech. Now there's something for content creators, whether
As well,
like there's something for everyone, creating a website, creating documents, creating sheets, getting your day more organized, helping with designs. There's a tech tool for everything, and I think information is so easily available, and there's a new tool that's going to come up by the time you master how to use one.
Absolutely.
So everything might not need to be your plethora, but if you pick some, I'm sure it's going to help you work more efficiently, if I'd say, work smartly.
Absolutely.
To stay consistent, to stay relevant, to stay sustainable. Okay, and how do you think creative teams can cut down waste in their process, both physically and digital wise?
I think it's a great question again. I think it starts with, better planning and, not kind of just overprinting or overusing visuals, or, if you can cut down there, I think, that's, I think, one way we can just cut down the digital and both physical, like the print.
Planning and cutting down sounds...
Overuse, I think, is a no-no for sure. Like
sounds like all the ethos of sustainability beautifully used. Do you follow any sustainable rituals or rules while working on a project that's helped you?
I think yes. I always ask, like I said before, like when we were starting the podcast, I always ask this question, like whether it's kind of I can reuse these pieces. So I always purposely choose my projects based on if the brand is okay with me using something that I've used. But of course, I'm gonna have it styled in a different way. So that's what I do in most of my projects.
No, and I think a lot of people don't understand that in terms of art or fashion. They say, like fast fashion is so easily, it's so adopted. And people also look down at art spaces like, I want to do something different every time and I want my space to look different. And I think repurposing and reusing is so beautiful because you do spend time, effort and energy into creating designs. There is a lot of memories attached to sometimes with art, and being able to repurpose them creates such a beautiful new memory with the same piece. And I think that's great in terms of like a client experience as well. I think it's a beautiful experience to see how you can repurpose what they already have sometimes.
No, honestly, I'll tell you one part where, I started my career with fast fashion brand. And when I got to know exactly how it is done and what's the backstory and everything, it was crazy. That's when I decided to not kind of work with brands who are kind of like into having a crazy effect on our an impact on the planet. And there needs to be, I think people need to speak more about, and especially in my field, I think people need to come up with and raise their voice against something where I think you have the kind of place and position to speak about it. So definitely.
Okay, what's your biggest pushback when you hear when you're pitching a sustainable design approach, for example?
I think, this is something that I hear a lot of times, because people think when it's sustainable or something, it's not going to be very premium or very exciting. So one thing that I tell my clients all the time, that it doesn't have to be, too good to be dramatic. Like it doesn't have to be dramatic to look good. Sometimes simple basic things also can stand out, and it's more about, like I said, storytelling and how your people, how your audience, how your customers connect.
Okay, great. And what's one piece of advice that you would want to give give creatives who want to make an impact but don't know where to start?
I would just say start small, pick one habit, reuse, restyle, that's, you have to start somewhere. That's where you start.
Okay, and in one sentence, what does the future of creative sustainability look like to you?
I think calm, smart, connected, where we create less, but it holds much more meaning and it has an impact.
So here we had such a beautiful conversation which reminded us that, creativity isn't about just making things look good. It's about creating stories. It's about creating experiences. It's about sustainably repurposing, reusing, understanding that fast fashion isn't the only answer.
Absolutely.
And there's so many ways that we can sort of make these little changes in our lives, adopt and adapt to these kind of practices that allow for us to be living in a more sustainable world. And Mrs. Shilpi here is the prime example of walking the talk of what she does for her clients, with her clients, in the way that she adopts sustainable practices with design, right? Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
This is such a great subject and a great initiative, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. And if this sparked some creativity in you and if you'd liked listening to this podcast, don't forget to keep tuning in for more sustainability insights, and we will see you in the next one.